Hey, wake up! It's time to start the show. Glad to see you all aboard Mouse Ears in Paradise. Let's get this show rolling.
Welcome to Mouse Ears in Paradise. I am Dave.
And I'm Becky. You almost slipped on that one. You're almost like...
No.
Yeah, your intro almost was from that other podcast. It almost was. I heard it.
I mean, some of it is, ingrained in my brain,
The reflexes almost took over.
Yes, autopilot. But nope, that didn't happen. Not today. Not yet. Someday, but not today. Today is not that day. All right. So today we kind of have a unique, conversation that we're going to be having about a resort that we were able to go to over the 4th of July holidays and try to compare and contrast it to DVC. Now, the most logical comparison would be to Alani, but we have not been to Alani yet.
I know.
And so we I think we should acknowledge that up front.
Yeah,
people are going to be like, well, you should be comparing to Alani. We know, we realize that. It's on our list. We've come very close many times, but because of logistics and the extended family, when we go to Maui and Hawaii in general, we're going someplace else, doing something different. And so it just has never made sense or worked out to make a pit stop along the way at Alani.
Yeah. It's coming.
But we're just not there yet. It will.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. Someday that we will be talking about that, but that is not today. So we're going to be just comparing it to just kind of, I guess, more deluxe resort style DVC from a space perspective and things like that. But first, we should probably just talk about the Honua Kai, which is where we stayed in Maui.
Yeah, so this is a new experience for our family. And actually, I was talking to Dave about this. I think this is the first non-Disney trip we've ever done as a family without extended family.
Without extended
as far
family.
as only our immediate family going. Every other trip that we've gone to has been to a Disney location or a Disney property or a Disney cruise or something like that. But this happened because we went to an auction and we purchased 4 nights at a stay in Honua Kai, which you can actually book through a variety of sources, but they are a condo complex on the west side of Maui. So just north of the main Kaanapali development. And one of the things that I have come to realize in planning family travel is that one of the words that is most important to me is reliable.
Yes.
Like, reliable sounds like a word that you think, like, this is not necessarily a compliment, but actually it turns out reliable is one of the best compliments you can give to somebody or something. And so, I really appreciate the Disney properties because I know what I'm getting. I know what my expectations can be. And they always, with very rare exception, deliver and are reliable. So we stayed in a 1-bedroom at the Honua Kai. Honua Kai is owned by either an individual. So it's a condo complex that you can purchase. Or there's also a company called Outrigger who does help manage some of those condos as well. And they have a variety of condos, one bedroom, 2-bedroom, studio, 3 bedrooms even. And this has been a place I've always wanted to stay because I do feel like it is similar in what it offers to a DVC resort.
Yeah.
And we should say too, we are not actually DVC members.
Yet.
I like the way you think. Yes, we are not yet DVC members. And this is also for a variety of reasons. One, we have not decided to take the plunge. We've come close a few times.
Yeah, very close.
2, we generally get really good deals on our DVC stays. We have stayed, anytime we go to Disney World now, we try to stay in a DVC property because it holds our family of 5 the best, and it's the most comfortable, and I really love a deluxe resort.
I mean, who wouldn't, right?
So we've paid cash for that every time we've gone.
Right.
We've not rented points. We've booked, through MEI Travel, who, of course, I work for, and that's worked out really well for us.
All right, so we were staying in a 1-bedroom suite.
Yep.
So what is in a 1-bedroom suite? Well, because that can mean different things, depending on where you're staying.
It can.
So what does that mean at the Honua Kai?
And that means that you have a king bed in the bedroom and then a closing door. So that bedroom is actually separate, which is something for a suite you always have to watch. And then in the main room, there was a pull-out bed from the couch and a TV, a kitchen table that sat 4, a kitchen, and then it opens up onto a patio. And their patios are kind of what makes them unique. They have what they call nani doors, and they open all the way. So it becomes like a continuous space, right? So there's no wall between the outdoors and the indoors if you don't want there to be. So now that's honestly, a 1-bedroom can be a little bit tight for our family. So we have 3 kids.
And these were designed, or I guess advertised, as 4-person suites, and we had 5. And so we knew that going into this.
We did. And we asked permission from the owners who we purchased this from for the auction to bring 5. So we did not necessarily go under the radar. We were very honest about what we had. And one of the things that we have found successful for our family is we often pack an air mattress. Our kids, like their parents, are bad sharers.
They need space.
They need space. And we have found that having separate sleep surfaces makes for a generally better vacation than we would have. I don't think we've ever successfully had our kids share a bed. Have we ever?
Yeah, no, I feel we have. But it doesn't have it. I guess it gets a little rocky, but we've had it successfully. I feel like at the Hyatt house. I stand corrected or sit corrected.
But so we do pack an air mattress that the youngest one sleeps on. For now, that works. I don't know if that'll still work in 10 years, but right now that still works. And the rental company also offered a futon that they delivered. So everybody ended up with their own space. Now they were tight.
They were all very close to each other, but they had their own defined sleep surface.
Yeah. And then the other thing the Honua Kai has that was really turned out to be something we really enjoyed is they are right on the beach. So when you come out of the condo, you have access to the pool. They have 5 different pools, I think, if I remember correctly, that you can go into. And then if you walk past the pool, it goes right onto the beach. And we've never, in our 36 years of visiting Hawaii 40 plus times, done that. Together.
My family used to.
That's true. You guys did. And that turned out to be a real asset. So not having to get in the car and not having to do anything, like the commitment level was a lot lower than we've ever had in Hawaii. And so we really enjoyed that.
Because usually, even though we had a short drive, usually it was like a 2-minute drive to go to the beach, it still was getting in the car, making sure you got there while there was still parking, because the places we usually go, it runs out of parking by the beach, and then you got to trek everything down to the beach. And so like to undo all that, it's like, no, we're staying here for a couple hours, whether it's raining or it's windy or it's hot, we don't care. We are staying. Whereas here it was more of like, well, let's walk the 50 feet over to the pool because it's kind of windy by the beach. So let's go over there and then we can come back to the beach.
Yeah. And we did.
Yes.
And that was a great system for us. So I know that most of our listeners are not necessarily Hawaii bound all the time. I will say we've looked, this is very similar to what Alani might offer as far as rooms go, I think. There's no luau on site, so you would have to travel if you want to do a luau, which Alani does offer.
But there's luau's within, a mile or two.
Like for sure.
It's not a big trek.
The beach, the snorkeling was the best I've ever done in Hawaii. We ended up buying $13 mask and snorkels for the kids. And so we got 3 sets for our family of 5. And because you could snorkel right off the beach, even our youngest, who just turned 5, was able to go, and he could snorkel and he could see the fish, and just gobs and gobs of fish, schools and eels and
turtles,
lots of turtles,
dolphins in the distance. We didn't swim with them, but we saw them.
Well, technically we swam with them. We just weren't, they couldn't see us.
They were a couple hundred yards away, but
So that was a really positive experience. I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I was proud of the snorkel stuff, so I want to.
You want to talk more about that?
But they do have rentals on site at the Honua Kai, but I think it was $25 a day or $50 for 4 days or something like that. But I walked over to the general store in the other building, which is still Honua Kai, and I was able to buy snorkels I didn't have fins. They were not as nice a quality, but yeah, they were $14 a piece. So we had them for the entire trip and brought them home. They were good enough for a few days.
We didn't really need fins.
No.
In fact, that was one of the things the kids really liked about it. So most of our recent snorkel experiences have been at Castaway Cay, which there's a lot of things our kids really like about Castaway Cay, right? Our oldest, we have had a couple of shark scares in recent years in Hawaii. Turns out our kids have a little bit of a core memory of this. So the last time we were in Maui for Christmas, our last day on the beach, a helicopter came and started yelling at people to get out of the water. So there had been a shark sighting. And so what they did is they cleared the water because the year previously they did have somebody who was attacked and did not survive the shark attack on the south side of Maui. So that does happen.
So that was the other end of the island from where we were this time.
Where we normally stay. And so 2 years ago, shark attack, somebody had passed away. Last year, we get kicked out of the water by our Maui lifeguards via helicopter because they have a shark sighting. And so our kids are nervous, I would say, about that. So when you go to Castaway Cay, one of the nice things about Disney's private island in the Caribbean is they do have some barriers up to keep sharks, and they do watch that pretty closely. So our kids who have a little bit of paranoia about that feel very comfortable snorkeling at Castaway Cay.
For sure.
But that requires them to have fins because that snorkel area, there's fish. There's not a ton of fish necessarily.
It's more spread out, and you kind of have to go a ways to kind of get there.
Yeah, you do. You really have to get out there. So this, I would say 10 feet off of the beach, you were surrounded by a fair amount of fish. And so that was really lovely. Nobody needed fins. Nobody needed, you could go for 5 or 10 minutes and it was worth it. And it wasn't you weren't telling the kids again, no, we're staying. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
So I think that was a real asset just for that location was how easy it was. Because easy with families counts for a lot.
And having the snorkels, not renting them meant it wasn't we rented them for days. So if you want to snorkel, today's the day. You got to do it or anything like that.
The other nice thing about Honua Kai, very similar to a DVC property, is they do have a restaurant on site. So Duke's Beach House is on site there. They're part of, if you're familiar with maybe the Hula Grill in Maui or Leilani's is also part of that group.
Chemo's used to be. Well,
Chemo's. That's what it is. It's not Leilani's. It's Chemo's. It was in that group. So I really they tend to have a really dynamite bar menu. So they get extra points for that. We did partake in that. And they deliver poolside. So that was a real.
Yeah, that was nice.
And those drinks are better than Disney drinks. I'm sorry, but they are much better than Disney drinks. So that was a real asset to this resort as well. Just having, it wasn't fast.
No.
So that's something to consider. You kind of have to plan ahead. But having somebody on site who is serving food and who is serving drinks is really, as a parent, great. Right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be in charge of all that stuff.
And it didn't have to be a formal sit down. We did do that one night, sitting at a sit down serve thing, but we also ate poolside. And, I think there was a takeout counter.
There's a takeout counter, yeah.
So you kind of had all these options from one place, depending on how you were trying to vacation that moment or that day.
Yeah. So their pool area, like I said, they have 5 pools. There's one water slide, which is very funny to me because I will say one of the things that was a little bit overwhelming about this resort is there are no lifeguards.
Yeah.
So I really, as a parent, love, again, this gets back to my word of reliable. I love going to a Disney property because they are lifeguarded. Now, that does not mean that I do not pay attention to my kids. That's not my jam. Like, I'm pretty aware, but I have 3. They're all excellent swimmers, but accidents happen in the pool, and you never know. So having a lifeguard around to like just have an extra set of eyes to me is really worth a lot. So that was one thing I didn't love. But the water slide, like there were parents putting kids on their laps going down the water slide. There were, they did yell at Drew for going face first down the water slide. They did not like that. But really, it was pretty lax. So that was kind of, the kids thought that was great. No lazy river, but kind of a lagoon style pool that the kids would play
There's
in.
one that's it was like a 3/4 of a lazy river.
Yeah, and it didn't have like a flow to it, right?
Right.
So the kids like to play hide and seek in there. They thought that was super fun because there's a bunch of rocks to like hide behind. But
and there was the grotto thing where there was like a waterfall and you go under the waterfall.
Yeah, that was cool.
Kind of this covered area.
A splash pad for the little kids,
Yeah.
like definitely a couple of great baby pools that if you had little ones, you could still be part of the action without being overwhelmed by the action. And just like a lot of kids.
Very family.
Very family friendly. So they do have an adults only pool if you wanted to be.
We did not go there.
I guess it wasn't adults only. It was the quiet pool, which to me translates as adults only. But like if you were 16 and you wanted to just lay out and listen to your music in your headphones, you could go there and not be annoyed. And plenty of lawn chairs. Like we really only had one time that we kind of struggled to find a lawn chair. And some of that was just because of where our kids wanted to be. Yeah.
And it was just a matter of kind of, if you walked around for a couple minutes, you'd find some, or someone was leaving or whatever.
And people were really nice about it. Like, hey, we're heading out. Why don't you take ours? Or, so really a generally positive experience poolside.
They had cabanas and like covered chairs that you could, I think, rent.
Yeah.
But we did not partake in it.
And we didn't need to.
No.
We were shaded every time by an umbrella, so it worked out great.
For sure.
So 2 thumbs up for Honua Kai. I highly recommend it. I think one thing that is interesting, I do think it's like half the price of Aulani, which, okay.
Shocking.
I know. I mean, we all know Aulani is going to be at the top of the Hawaii, range for rooms. And there's good reasons for that. Again, they also have some things where they, help keep the lagoon safe, and they have snorkeling that's easy and accessible and that you can even see from a window underwater. Like, so there's a lot to be said.
Right. And they have programming that they're doing on site and
they
stuff,
do.
Free and paid.
Yeah, they do. And there was no kids programming at Honua Kai as well.
Nope.
So that is worth noting. But it is, if you're looking for a Hawaii vacation and you're looking to go, with your kids and or even as adults and be someplace that's easy and comfortable. And I would give it 2 thumbs up. It's probably the best place we've stayed in Maui.
Yeah.
Right?
Which was surprising to us. And, there's supposedly different weather patterns, different time of the year. We've been told that this is a better place to be during the summer and better to be on the other end of the island in the winter. But we are hoping to kind of test that theory this coming winter when we're back in Maui and be able to kind of see both sides of the island. Spend another day up here around the Honua Kai and see if it's still like that during the winter, because maybe they'll change our plans in the future.
It might. So I wanted to spend, just because our podcast is focused a little bit on Disney and thinking about families and again, like even larger groups, right? If you're traveling with a larger group. And as much as I loved Honua Kai, I still thought the 1-bedroom at the DVC properties we've stayed at has actually fit our family a little bit better. And
Definitely.
So I thought we could take some time and talk about why that's something you might want to consider for your next trip. It is much more difficult to get one of these at Disneyland. Like the amount of them is just small. It is easier now than it used to be. Now that the Disneyland Hotel has DVC, now you can find that via cash somewhat more regularly than you ever like. Really getting into the Grand Cal with cash is just you could rent points and you can rent from somebody, but it doesn't really happen. But now we're seeing that you can get into the Disneyland ones. So
Cool.
that is an option. But we traditionally, when we go to Disney World, now that we have 5 of us, and even when we had 4, have decided that the 1 bedroom of the DVC properties is really sort of the best marriage between money and space that we have found. And so I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about that, since we're talking about 1 bedrooms and travel. And again, just getting back to the reliability of why that might be something you want to consider on your next trip.
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
Sounds groovy.
All right. So let's kind of think, well, Disney World.
All right. I'm thinking Disney World.
You're thinking Disney World.
And I go straight to Saratoga. Because that's where I
Why,
always go.
Dave?
I don't know. I feel like it's just the right vibe and the right pace. And I know it's old, and I know it's not the most cool theme per se.
It sounds a lot like us.
But it's reliable.
It's reliable. Old, not the coolest, reliable. It's us. It's the Braylon. Yeah. So a couple of things I really like about this. We talked a little bit about separate sleep surfaces. Now Saratoga and Key West and most of the other DVC properties have in the family room, they'll have a pull-out bed and a pull-out chair. And this is really a game changer for us. Our kids, again, will not share ours. But if I pack the air mattress, that means everybody has their own sleep surface. And that means everyone's sleeping better. And that generally means just a better vacation for us. So that is probably one of my favorite things about the DVC properties. And also, this is why we like to go there. Like, I have realized as we've tried to kind of expand our travel horizons, it's hard. It's hard to find that combination and anywhere else. Like Honua Kai did not really have that. They didn't have the sleeper chair, but they did bring us, a set of food.
They were accommodating.
Yeah, they were. As we've looked into going, like even to Disneyland Paris, right? That option doesn't really exist there unless you go to the Marriott nearby, and then you have to have a 2-bedroom. Like a lot of times, going from the 1-bedroom to the 2-bedroom is twice the price.
So you're sometimes almost better off getting a second hotel single.
That's kind of what we found. You're better off with connecting rooms,
but that can be hard. Yeah,
you can't always guarantee connecting rooms. So the 1-bedroom lets us know like everybody's going to be there. They're all going to be together. They still would all prefer to have their own room, but that's just not going to happen. We are not in that place.
I mean, even getting separate rooms or 2-bedroom, like oftentimes that's a bridge too far. Having the 1-bedroom where there's 2 rooms for people to be sleeping in, at least for separation, usually helps. And so that's kind of that happy medium for us.
Yeah. And then access to the kitchen has been really dynamite. And again, here reliability plays a role. Like I know what coffee maker I'm going to get. I know there's going to be a toaster. I know that I'm going to have enough pots and pans that if I want to make a meal, I can. And it turns out not every condo is that way. Like you don't actually know when you go into a condo that they're going to have all the things that you want in order to even make pancakes, right? Like
not complex things. We're talking like make some eggs, make some pancakes, like just simple things can be difficult.
Yeah. And it saves you a ton of money, right? So I try to tell people sometimes like, you look at some of these resorts, Caribbean Beach, and they've got a 5th sleeper. The French Quarters have rooms where you've got 2 queen beds and a 5th sleeper, and the price difference sometimes between the 1-bedroom and these moderate hotels that have a 5th place to sleep can seem really astronomical. But when you factor in the cost of getting everybody breakfast and being able to feed people in the room, like
kind of at their own pace or while people are getting ready. It
sort of balances out. Like we have found that we probably come pretty close to what we would have spent on a moderate budget going out to eat in the morning than we do paying cash DVC point, for a DVC property and then making. And I like to make breakfast. Like full disclosure, a lot of parents, they don't want to cook it all. I really enjoy coffee in my pajamas. Like really, if I'm having a relaxed day, that means I'm having coffee in my PJs. Even better if it's outside on a porch. And so I think that probably plays a role in how I think about it too. But I don't mind making breakfast. It's generally easy.
We rarely go out for breakfast when we travel. We almost always try to make it in the room, even if it's just bagels, eggs. Like, it's usually pretty simple. It's nothing complex, but
even like we've stayed a couple times now. Well, not a couple yet. We've stayed once, and now we have this booked again for Thanksgiving, a 1-bedroom at the new Pixar Pier. And they have no kitchen, but they have a microwave and a fridge. We'll still do breakfast in the rooms because kids they're just not hungry at the same time. And if you don't feed them over the course of the hour, like the start to the day is terrible.
Yeah. And one can be eating while one's getting dressed, or one's taking a shower. Like, you kind of can have it all happening simultaneously, instead of everybody quick get dressed so that we can go get breakfast, and then then you're waiting for somebody at breakfast to finish.
Yeah,
the slow eater.
Oh yes, exactly. The other thing we've really enjoyed about the DVC properties is, of course, the pool area. This is an important thing to the Braylon family.
Yes.
So the water slide, to me, it's just enough to keep the kids from harassing me. Like, if we show up to a pool with nothing going on, the thing that's going to happen is they're going to try and dunk and splash me over and over and over again. And it's not always my favorite. Like, I don't actually want to be picked on all day long.
Go on the water slide.
And so even if they just go 3 or 4 times, it kind of gets their like adrenaline out. In order to just like, then we can play a different game. We can do, Sinky toys or whatever,
Right.
and they're less annoying. So I know that seems a little bit bougie, but I think having something for them to do at the pool is a real asset. Some of that might be because we're Californians and we have a pool in the backyard, and we're a member at 2 other pools for a variety of reasons. So, like, our pool access is a little bit abnormal compared to maybe the rest of the United States.
And the kids, it's a big part of their lives too. They do swim team and stuff. So swimming is just a part of their lives.
It's not it's not like I was when I grew up and you had access 3 months out of the year because it was snowing. Like, it's just very different. So anything that's unique will keep them busy for at least 30 minutes. And that's sometimes all I need. Sometimes all I need is 30 minutes.
And the pool is also important because oftentimes if we're there for, say, a Disney World for a week, we'll take a day and do a resort day, and we're going to spend a lot of it in the pool. And even on the other days, I feel like in the past we started doing the pool in the morning while we waited to get the lightning lanes that we wanted in the afternoon, and then went in the afternoon. So, like, we're hitting the pool in the morning.
I know. Other things I think that I really enjoy about those Disney properties, the pool is heated.
Yes.
To an uncomfortable temperature, which again is not something you can count on all the time. And we mentioned the lifeguards, but they bear mentioning again. It's rare that there's a medical emergency, but as somebody who lifeguarded for years, it has happened. I've pulled kids out of the pool who weren't being stupid, right? They just had a medical emergency. And so I just really love that I can parent and not worry quite so much about.
And I feel like their lifeguards are tend to be next level just by their policy. Whereas like at our local pool, there's lifeguards and there's, someone sitting on the tower and they're just kind of looking around, but not there. Whereas if at the Disney pools, there's usually like a required pacing section that they're supposed to be doing. And you can see them sometimes literally even with their hand, like they're scanning the whole pool back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
Like, it's very active lifeguarding. And one time we were there, we actually watched them do surprise testing on the lifeguards.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
Yeah. Where they had someone go down the slide and not come up and see if someone would notice. And they caught them. They went in, they got them, pulled them out. And like everyone was fine. It was just a total simulation. They shut down the slide and everything, but kind of went through the whole routine. And I guess my perception was they get graded on this to make sure that they notice and do something about it. And how do they act? And in the military or anything, when you practice, it becomes routine and just comes autopilot. It sounds annoying. Maybe it's, sounds scary, but like if you're just doing it all the time, then they're not going to panic. They're going to just like, oh, I know what to do. My body's just going to go on autopilot and I'm going to go save this person and get them out and everything's going to be fine.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. So I feel like their lifeguards, I don't think I've ever seen a negative kind of experience with lifeguards.
No, some people think they're mean, but so we go places, and because I do spend a lot of time, A, with kids, and then B, I spend a lot of time around pools. Like there are certain things that happen that make me nervous. And I have been known to, like we were at a swim meet and some kid was doing flips off the side of the pool into the water. And I was like, not working, not in charge. And I was like, you gotta stop. You're gonna hit your head. So I think part of it's me. Like I notice these things because it's my job to notice. It's my job to keep kids safe. And so I think for me, it lets me turn off a little bit in that way too, which I really appreciate. And I don't feel like I have to be the one to respond if there's an emergency, which since that is my job in real life, as a teacher, that is kind of refreshing. So
vacation, you're relaxing.
I'm relaxing.
You can turn off a part of your brain. That's what a vacation's about.
For sure. So don't write it off. Like don't forget that you can do DVC just like a regular hotel room. And there's probably some reasons to consider it. And it's depending on when you're going, it may actually be more economical if you have, a group of 4 or 5 to do that than it is to try and get yourselves all in one room.
And then,
I highly recommend it. I won't do one room anymore. So if we have not clarified that, part of my rules for going away is we will not all stay in one room.
We need at least a 1 bedroom where.
And we've done it a couple of times where like the night before a cruise, we're just going to pony up because that's all there's
for one night
available.
We can do it. And that's about
but
it.
Man, nobody sleeps great.
Right.
The 2 rooms is magical.
Everybody just sleeps better. Everybody's happier. And, we just make it a part of whether we can go or not is whether we can afford to do that or not. And that means
true.
We may do something different because we couldn't afford to do that. And that's just, I guess, the way it goes.
Or we do less. Like we certainly are doing less than we were pre-COVID.
Yeah, maybe we stay a day or 2 less at Disney World.
We have found staying less actually makes our experience better. That's a topic for another podcast. What's the perfect length for a vacation? Spoiler alert, it is generally not 14 days. That's the conclusion.
Or 5 days at Disneyland.
Or it is definitely not 5 full days at Disneyland. So true. All right. Well, I hope it's at least mildly interesting to hear.
Yeah.
Just kind of maybe have you think outside the box about what your next trip might look like. Hear about a different location. Thanks for coming along with us.
Yeah, if you have questions about the Honua Kai or staying DVC, you can email us at mouseearsinparadise@gmail.com. I finally set it up. So mouseearsinparadise@gmail.com.
It's like we're official now.
We are official now, of course. So, of course, we want to finish the episode by talking about our magical moment for the week.
I have so many.
Oh, wow. All right,
know.
we'll go.
We might have to do a set. I don't know. I'm going to have to save them. I don't know what to do. I do have a confession. I need to tell you something.
Uh-oh.
I've been saving this for the podcast.
Oh, my gosh.
It's true. Dave, I have to tell you, I signed up for D23.
What? Like a full membership or a free membership?
Free membership.
Okay.
So if you ever listen to the other podcasts that we were on, you will know I'm actually very not a D23 fan for a variety of different reasons. But they've been doing this like drawing sweepstakes,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And so it turns out you have to be a member in order to enter the sweepstakes. Fine. So I signed up. I've done nothing with it other than enter the sweepstakes.
Okay.
And I won't win. This is the dumb thing. Like,
you won't win.
I know I'm not going to win.
But
I did get a call. I did get a call from DVC, who are also running a sweepstakes. I did not have a chance to answer it because I was doing something else with my kids. But The first line when you look at it is like, "This is so and so from DVC. I'm calling because you entered the drawing. The drawing has not happened yet." It's like,
because they were probably.
I know. You're like,
I won the drawing.
Wah wah. They just wanted to sell to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, that was funny. But my magical moment of the week. You know what my magical moment of the week is?
Tell me.
Free Wi-Fi on the airplane.
Oh.
This was a game changer for us.
On Hawaiian Airlines.
Hawaiian Airlines offered free Wi-Fi on their planes. And we flew San Francisco to Maui, to Kahului. Free Wi-Fi the whole way. And it was excellent.
It was Starlink internet. So it wasn't your old school airplane Wi-Fi that was very sketchy and slow. Like it was the same as being home. Really.
Yeah, I hope this becomes the industry standard. Now, we do fly Delta this week. Some of their flights have free Wi-Fi.
But is it Starlink?
I don't know if this one does. I don't know. And you have to be a Delta Sky member, which is fine because I am. But like, I am going to have all the kids' membership numbers easily accessible maybe. I don't know. I'll have to figure out what that looks like. Yeah. I'll report back. But this one, Hawaiian, you just logged on. And so all our children have their own iPads because of...
They're all very old iPads for those that may be judging. Like they don't get updates anymore.
Yeah.
Old.
But it works for us, and it's a good system for us. So they stayed... This is probably the most relaxing flight we've had.
Yeah, I mean, some of that's
for
age.
sure for me. Some of it's age, but it's the most relaxing flight we've had in a while. And it meant like... We're pretty good about downloading content to their iPads, but for whatever reason, it actually crashed this time. And so people ended up with no content on their iPads, and it was like not a problem at all. And that was really
they just streamed it like they were at home.
And like our Netflix subscriptions, because you can only have 2 people download, but there's 5 of us flying, like that meant anybody could watch whatever they wanted, and it wasn't a problem. So, that's my magical moment. I hope this is good. I mean, honestly, so I'm flying with the kids to visit my parents this week in Michigan. Just me. Dave's staying home. I'll probably just pay for internet if it's not free. Like it would have been worth $20 a kid for the day just because they stayed out of my hair.
Because it's a long flight.
It's a long flight.
What is it? 4 hours?
It's about 5 hours. Yeah. It's
to
just
Michigan?
To Michigan. It's like 5.5, 6 hours by the time.
It's about the same as flying Hawaii. Think about that.
It's longer. Don't get me started. I can't with it, guys. I cannot. What's yours? What's your magical moment?
What's my magical moment? I don't know if mine, I don't know if this is so magical, but I don't know why. I really have no reason of why this is. But on the flight there, I think it was on the flight there, or maybe it was on the way back, I finally watched, and this is old, Saving Mr. Banks.
Oh, that's right, you did.
And I really, really enjoyed it. It was not at all what I expected, but it was a great film. I'm glad I watched it and would highly recommend it. If you have not watched it, watch it on Disney+. But yeah, I really don't know why it took me so long. It's been on my list. It's been downloaded to my iPad for like the last at least 4 trips we've been on.
Have you really? Yeah,
and I just have never gotten to it. It just never got to the top of the list, and I finally watched it, and I really enjoyed it. And it was I don't know. I didn't cry, but it was definitely like
it's touching.
It was a very touching story, and I really thought everybody played the characters well, having known something about at least most of those characters.
Yeah,
I even met a couple of them. So
that's true, huh? That's kind of odd, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah.
So it was interesting to see them being portrayed by also known actors and stuff. So yeah, it was interesting. It was good, and I felt magical, I guess, after watching it. There you go.
Nice.
That was my magical moment.
Yeah, it was pretty magical for you sitting all alone with no children around you to manage.
Well, I might have had.
You had Annika across the aisle.
You
did have him on the way back. You're right. I take it back.
I think I did have a child.
I take it back.
She was being good, and it wasn't a problem. But yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, you had plenty of space. You were not.
I was not suffering. We paid extra for the bulkhead seat.
It's a long flight. I'm tall. I want premium. And if I'm in premium, the kids are not going to, they don't
we've
like
had
it.
some issues. Drew, our youngest, is wiggly, and I've had some issues with him kicking the back of people's seats. And so if we can swing it, it's been nice to add a little extra leg room because it cuts down. And everybody's a little bit nicer to us when they're not getting the back of their seat kicked, which I understand. Like, I'm not trying to just let him. Like, we're fighting about it.
Yes.
But it's caused some issues in the past. So...
And then there's a little bit more room if the kids need to kind of like
wiggle
around or sit in some weird contorted way. They have the space to do that.
I did listen to another podcast this week. This is totally off topic, but about just the polarization of America, which we will not talk about here because we're about bringing people together. But he was talking about, he wrote a book. It's an author from the New York Times, and I should give his name, but Frank somebody, Bernoulli or something. Anyways, and he was talking about how like the different classes of airline and even fast passes at Disneyland actually help create division. And he's like, if you can avoid doing it, you should avoid doing it. And I was like, I can't not. I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
I'm trying to bring peace.
Avoiding it for principle, I suppose.
Yeah.
But like, and I kind of get that, but you don't want to play into the money machine, but
yeah.
Sometimes you got to play the game. Like,
totally,
you just got to do it.
You gotta. For us, it worked out great.
It worked out great.
For me, it was fantastic.
Yeah, it's not something we do every time, but it worked out this time.
Yeah.
I think it was a pretty small uplift to get to the premium. I think this time maybe.
I like that.
I
like that you think that.
I think you sold it to me that way. I don't know if it was true. I think you sold it to me.
Listen, I know what's best for this family.
Yeah. I just show up and go, I'm the, they talk about passenger princess and then the traveler princess or whatever. I'm the traveler princess. I just show up and I don't know. I have people at work. Oh, so where are you flying? SFO or San Jose? I don't know. What time's your flight? I don't know. What day are you doing? Well, I know that.
It's funny because it's true. I can't decide if it's better if you don't know or if I don't feel like I'm keeping this information from you on purpose.
If I wanted to know, I could
You
find
could
it.
ask.
I could ask or
I send you the
otherwise discover.
confirmations.
Yep. I'm just thankful that you do it for us.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice. There you go.
You can't complain about dinner if you don't make dinner, right?
There you go. You cannot. You cannot.
Yeah, I feel like it's the same thing. You can't complain about the travel plans if you don't make the travel plans.
Let's remember this in the next coming month.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have for today's show, but I want to thank you for listening. And you can email us at mouseearsinparadise@gmail.com, or you can leave comments on social media. We have all our social media links and everything over at mouseearsinparadise.com.
Go do something magical this week.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. Or just have a magical moment. It doesn't have to cost money every time.
Yes, that's right.
Mine was
Disney,
free.
Yeah, mine was too, watching Disney Plus.
There you go.
Well, I mean, we have a subscription, but watching
free is relative.
I suspect most of our listeners have a Disney Plus subscription.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not all, but probably most.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a great week.
Bye.
Applause. Applause. We hope you've all enjoyed the show.